Oh, wait. This lighting's way too bright. Hold on, give me a second. Much better. Alright, so in the last video, I specified that I wanted to make something of a rant about the fact that people were upset, or the Pokemon fandom was upset regarding Let's Go Johto Gen 4 Remakes not being a thing. Let's get started. So, while I don't want to make this a full-on rant, okay, I do want to bring up the topic of the title, Are Pokemon Fans Toxic? And the reality is, I don't think they are, okay? I think that the Pokemon community is very spoiled. I feel like they are very entitled. But I don't think they're full-on. I mean, there is definitely a side, like every big community is going to have toxic people. I'm not, like... You can't get away from that, because when you have a huge conglomerate of people like in one group, obviously some bad apples are gonna get in there. So for all intents and purposes, there are toxic people in the Pokemon community, but I don't feel like the community as a whole is toxic. But I feel like sometimes those people are the voice minority, whereas the people that just chill or just hang around, they're like they're the majority, but they're the silent majority. And I think this is a problem that has been slowly getting worse and worse and worse over time, because the entitlement that a lot of these fans feel, and this is I feel like the big boom of this happened around like the X and Y days, around Black and White days as well, because people were spoiled, or they were upset at the fact that there was no old Pokemon in the Gen 5 decks, the Black and White decks before the National decks type of scenario. I think that's when it like started to, like, you could see hints of it, and then X and Y started putting it in, and then slowly every new game that releases, there's some type of drama, some type of issue. People are upset. People start speculating. People start, like, what do you guys remember the Gen 6 starters leaks and all this shit that was happening with them? How people basically saw these images of possible evolutions for the starters, and they're like, oh, this looks cool, oh, this looks cool, this is great. And then as soon as the starters were released, like the final evolutions where we got Delphox, Greninja, and fucking Chestnut, people were upset, people were angry, like, this is not what you said you were gonna do, like, this design sucks, what the heck is this? And then it's just slowly gotten worse and worse and worse. And with Gen 7, it kept getting worse. Then Gen 8 had the whole Dexit controversy. And then now every time that we don't get a fucking remake for some reason, people lose their shit, Like, the whole MOBA thing, fine, whatever. It's not everybody's cup of tea. It's not even my cup of tea, but I let it exist, right? People sometimes bitch and moan about the fact that Pokemon is basically the same game over and 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 over again. But then when Pokemon goes out of their way to be something completely different than what it is, people bitch and moan that it's not the thing that they've been playing the whole fucking time. Like, you basically can't win with these people, and it's something that I've kind of already. That's why I kind of distance myself from the rest of the fandom. I try to have my own viewpoint on things, and I try to be. I know I'm obviously part of like a specific marginalized group of Pokemon fans that are like, oh, fuck everybody's, like, the mainstream opinion and all that shit. So it's not like I'm not saying like I'm unique with my mentality or whatever, but I basically distance myself from the mainstream like Pokemon fandom, because I feel like everybody there is just a bunch of sheep. That one person complains and everybody just follows that complaint and then bitches and moans. Like, Dexit itself was a stupid fucking concept. I hate that mentality that just because they don't have all these mons that you've been playing for like the past 20 years, like what is the point? You want a new game, but you don't want to experience the new things because you want the old things. Like, I don't understand that mentality, and I know for a fact I'm not the only one that feels like way. I'm not saying here that I'm the only one that feels this way, but it's just such a stupid concept. I thoroughly enjoyed Sword and Shield way more because I had a limited dex, and I literally just caught and battled with the new mons, and it felt like a new experience. Yes, there's flaws with the games. I'm not saying there's not. I made a whole freaking video about it. You can look in the card. I'm not saying there's no flaws in these games, but I was able to enjoy it because it felt like a new experience, because I forced myself, well, not really forced myself, but I was kind of forced to play with these new mons, and I enjoyed it that much more. Like when I played fucking Sun and Moon, the little bit of that I played it, my starter was a Pichu because I didn't like any of the other starters, and I had basically every mon available to catch, so I just caught whatever I thought was, whatever I was familiar with, and then whatever new mons that I liked, that's what I caught. But like for the most part, more than half my team was old mons. But with this game, I was like, there's more of these new things that are spread around my area, and I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna test these new mons out, and it was great. It was a great experience. That's one of the reasons why I love Black and White. I think when the whole bring back every Pokemon into the main game, which is what happened with Black and White 2, and that's gonna be one of the big things I want to talk about after I mention this. I had a lot of fun because I literally played with just the new mons. I had a Snivy on my team. I had a Krokorok, or a Sandile, basically. Electric. I did get like transferred over from I think it was my black game. I had Oshawott. I had Tepig for a little while. I had a Darumaka. I know I had a Solosis. Like I basically caught the new mons, and I was experimenting and playing with these new mons, and I was enjoying my time with these new mons. And I like that part of the journey. I like the fact that I was using mons that I wasn't familiar with. I was learning new things. It was cool. So that's the thing that pisses me. Oh, and then fucking Yamath in terms of Fagus, which is one of my favorite mons. This is the type of thing that I don't understand why the Pokemon community is so against. I don't know why you guys want the same experience, but then bitch about having the same experience. Like, for fuck's sakes, if they're trying to shake up the formula or make things different, embrace it. Like, I don't understand why this whole mentality still exists. Now, when I mentioned back the whole Black and White 2 thing situation, because so many people bitch and moan and complain about the fact that you didn't have the older mons in the main story in Black and White, well, what happened in Black and White 2? They just threw all the mons back in there, and then you could catch whatever the hell you wanted from the start. It defeats the purpose, right? It defeats the purpose of a new gen, right? Gen 3 had this thing too, and Gen 4 suffered because of it. Gen 4 was lacking in new mons in the early routes, and some of the mons you could get were limited. Basically your whole team was mostly old mons. It's ridiculous. So that's I don't understand. I think this is where the spoiled mentality comes in, because if we bitch and moan and complain and just shout out all these bad things that we hate, well, eventually Gamefreak is just gonna topple over and gonna do whatever the hell we want, and it's a mindset I don't like. I think, and the problem is the Gamefreak itself is a very, I'm sorry to say, mediocre gaming company. They really don't know. I've been seeing a lot more things recently where optimization in the game isn't that good because they really don't know how to develop good games, or they don't know how to develop games properly. So there's always a lot of things that shouldn't be there that are there. I just feel they need better resources, better training. Outsource some of this shit. You don't need to just be doing this all on your a small team of developers, which makes no sense. You're a big fucking franchise company. Why the fuck do you not have a bigger staff? That's something I never understood this about Gamefreak, and it's honestly one of the things that really irritates me about them. But then people get mad, and that's the other thing. Not everything is made by Gamefreak. People automatically assume that everything that has the Pokemon logo is created by Gamefreak. Most of this other fucking shit is not created by them. They literally only handle the mainline titles, and that's it. I don't think they branch off into any of the other games. Most of the spin-offs are made by different studios. And yet, fucking Gamefreak doesn't have time to develop this shit. Come on. Either get a bigger staff or outsource some of this shit so that it's not just all on your shoulders, and then this poor optimization keeps coming up every time. When you looked at the Pokemon Snap trailer, that shit looked tight, looked HD, looked beautiful, and it's not even made by them. It's made by Bandai Namco. This is the type of stuff you should be doing. Gamefreak, you should have the resource for this. Either talk to the Pokemon company so that they give you more money so you can have better staff, or talk to the Pokemon company so that you handle specific core stuff, and then most of the visuals and visuals, like move balancing, like all that shit. Or no, they don't need to. Actually, yeah, visuals, optimization, character renders, map design, like, or map optimization, not map design. I think map design is still good on there, but like that stuff, outsource it. Other developers, other like teams to work on that, because clearly you've shown that you have a lack of skill in this area, and I just feel like the fandom sees all this, right? Sees all this, they bitch and moan, they take advantage of it because they know all this stuff is happening. I know all this stuff is happening. Every Pokemon fan knows this stuff is happening. So they use that against Game Freak, and it's always against Game Freak. It's not even the Pokemon company. It's always against Game Freak, expecting Game Freak to do everything that they want. And then, like, when things don't go their way, then you get a mob mentality, right? The whole fucking, what was that one thing? The hashtag Gamefreak Light was, and then Game Freak employees were talking about how they felt depressed, they had mental issues, they were having problems, difficulties, like they were having, which prompted the hashtag Thank You Game Freak, which I wasn't a part of either because I honestly don't fucking care. Like that just shows a weak spot. And I'm not saying Game Freak needs to toughen up. Like, I'm not. Like, humans are humans. Humans have feelings. Humans need some type of outlet to express their frustrations and their anger and their sadness. I'm not saying there's a problem with that, but these individuals that rally up the voice or the minority voice, they see that and they see bleeding and they strike even harder. What happened when the DLC expansion pass was announced? Oh, they just took out the Pokemon so they could add it later as DLC. As if that was the plan the whole time. I mean, it might have been. I don't freaking know. Honestly, I think Game Freak should not have added any of the older mons if they didn't fit in Galar. That was the whole point. If they're not, like, if the mons don't look like they would work in Galar, don't add them in Galar. But then some of these mons are returning now in the Isle of Armor and then the fucking Crown Tundra. Like, is it because those areas are completely different from Galar, so these Pokemon can thrive in these areas? I don't know. Game Freak needs to stand up for themselves. Game Freak needs to put their foot down, and if they say something, commit to it. Okay, this is your game. Okay, and as much as I, a fan on the outside that, you know, tends to give the benefit of the doubt, but I do bitch and moan and complain just like everybody else, but for different reasons. You need to lay down the groundwork and put your foot down and do not back down. Like this, if this is your vision, right? If you have a vision for a game, don't back down from it. Like don't retreat. Don't let the masses or the minority masses win. Okay, stand your ground and do what you need to do to make a game that you feel is good enough for us to play. Like, even I over here who's giving advice on just like basically helping your staff a little bit more. Like, I'm not even asking for specific things in game. I just want like the Game Freak core development team to not be completely stressed out over time with all this stuff. You don't even have to listen to me. If you don't fucking want to expand your team or outsource some of this crap, I don't, like, at the end of the day, that's your decision. You're the ones that are gonna have to carry all this weight and all that stuff. So you don't have to listen to me. You don't have to listen to anyone. But if you if you have something you want to do, stick to it and don't backtrack. Like, don't send out apologies. Don't explain shit. Like, just say what's on your mind. You're like, we want it this way because we want it this way, and that's it. Don't like the whole fucking animations bullshit. Like that's not an excuse. Okay, you know it's not a reason. We know it's not a reason. So don't even say it. At that point, just say we did it because we wanted to, and people will just shut up. Like, literally, that's like, that's how you want to do it. That's how you want to do it. People can't say shit. If they don't want to buy the game, then they don't buy the game. It's as simple as that. So that's like my little. I mean, it wasn't really a rant, but I don't. It's kind of like a discussion. Like bring it up. I do want to know from your perspective. Like, do you feel like the Pokemon community is toxic? Do you feel like we as a conglomerate need to change, improve? Do you see yourself on the outside of like the main focus group? Like, where do you see yourself on the spectrum of a Pokemon fan? I admit that I can be a little biased sometimes, and I tend to get a little annoyed with certain things, and I do bitch and complain. I'm not gonna say I don't, because I do. Like, where do you see yourself? Where do you see yourself as a fan of the franchise? And yeah, let me know what you think in the comment section below. I thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in future videos.